It's coming, and oil prices already have kind of soared back to some of the highest levels we've seen since this crisis started, around 110, $115 a barrel. Gasoline prices are going to keep going up because it is a global market, and at some point there's dozens of tankers from Asia headed to the United States, ready to load up U.S. crude if we can, and the price in the U.S. is going to have to rise high enough to keep those barrels here and meet domestic demand. So it is a global market, but we have seen a interesting disconnect where the physical price of oil started to be pretty disconnected from the so-called traded price that you tend to see on your screen. Usually they're the same, but we didn't see that disconnect in the US. We saw it in Europe and we saw it in Asia. But if you keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, I don't know if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 6 weeks, but we are headed to much higher oil prices because eventually, if you have 15 million barrels a day of supply off the market, prices have to rise high enough to destroy 15 million barrels a day of global demand. And that's
Well,
a
then,
really high price.
wait. Why is it that the market hasn't priced this in? I mean, you look at future prices, you're talking about only $100, $110 a barrel for domestic oil here.
Yeah, I think there's a few answers to that. That futures price you're talking about, the sort of price of Brent or WTI that people tend to see as the headline oil price, that's technically a 1 month futures contract. So it's kind of what people think the price will be, not at this very moment to buy a barrel of crude, but say a month from now. And I think what we've seen the market doing, and part of this is Trump's own rhetoric, is betting that this is going to be over soon. And you've seen the administration sort of set time lags. It'll be over in 2 or 3 weeks or 6 weeks. We're past all of those deadlines, to be clear, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. But I think generally people have been betting this will be over sooner rather than later. And then we had some cushions built in. We released a lot of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Inventories globally were quite high, so we've been drawing those inventories down. But there's only so long. We were even we eased sanctions on Iran and Russian oil that was floating in tankers on the water. You can argue about whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, but we had some buffers in the system, but those buffers